So, have you ever wondered what it's really like to be a field adjuster out in the thick of it, navigating storms, tight schedules, tech tools, and unpredictable travel? In today's episode with Julian Badillo, who's been out in the field for 9 years, we pull back the curtain and take you straight into the daily grind of life on the road as a field adjuster. Welcome to the Adjuster Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, adjusting career coach and the founder of The Adjuster Coach. This show is all about helping you level up your skills, your mindset, and your career in the independent adjusting world. If you're enjoying the content, please be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you're tuning in. It helps us reach more adjusters like you looking to grow in this great field. Today, we're sitting down with Julian Badillo, a seasoned field adjuster and an Xactimate Mobile guru, to walk through what a day in the life really looks like. From road life and safety tips to how technology and diet play a role, this episode is packed with insights, stories, and real-world advice for any adjuster in the field or aspiring to get there. So let's just jump right in. Let's dive in and get a first-hand look at the real world of field adjusting. This is one episode you don't want to miss. Hey, Julian. Again, thank you very much for being here with me today. I know that right now you're basically an Xactimate Mobile guru, but it's been a nice long journey. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're at, how old you are, how long you've been doing this, and then we'll start from the beginning, as they say. Go ahead, buddy.
Sure. So again, thank you for having me, Pablo. For those of you who don't know, my name is Julian Badillo. I am the current Xactimate instructor / consultant for pilot catastrophe. At this point, the time of this recording, I am 30 years of age. I got my start about 9 years ago as a desk adjuster and have transitioned to the field, and now, again, have transitioned to the Xactimate Mobile instructor / consultant. Nice.
So you started very young, man, and I know we've heard this story before, but tell me a little bit of how you got into this industry. I think it was your stepdad or something like that. Tell me a little bit about that story.
Yeah, so I'll take it back a little even further. When I was a kid, I was playing The Sims. For those of you who don't know, The Sims is a simulation game where you are given a role or a job or something like that, and you live as a person. But not only that, it's more so you're also building structures and houses, and so that's what I did when I was a kid. I would stay up late into the night. I would go ahead and build these houses. Nothing complex. I think we were talking before. I was making like rectangles, whatever. Nothing too crazy. One window maybe, so like a cell.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in any case, I'd come from that background of like playing video games as a kid, and I was around, I think 21 when I walked into the kitchen, and my stepfather was actually an adjuster, and he was using Xactimate at the time on desktop, doing the 3D modeling, just looking over the house. It was all cut up. And I remember talking to him a little bit about it, asking him some questions, and then I thought to myself, well, I've played The Sims. I think I could do this. So that's where I went from there. I ended up getting a pre-licensing course for the wrong state, but I eventually got the right one. Did everything I needed to do, fingerprints, but I was licensed by the time that I was 21. I ended up moving out to Colorado. I was still 21, and actually, no, I celebrated my first birthday in Colorado, so I was 21 when I moved.
Oh, nice.
Sleeping in the office of a roofing company that told me that they would have housing and all that jazz. And obviously,
housing.
It was a house, but it was an office couch. And I think many people can relate to, maybe some people not always telling the truth in certain
That's right.
The roofing industry. So.
That's right.
But yeah, so I mean, from there, I ended up meeting my mentor. There's a funny story. I asked my stepfather, like, hey, man, who's the most successful person in your contact list? Okay. Can I meet with that person? I had done a lot of self-development videos. I'm like, I know there's not a way necessarily to shortcut, but can we speed this up? So I did that. I ended up, what was it? I went to Texas a couple times. I did the State Farm certification back when you needed to go in person.
Yeah.
So I was driving from Colorado to Texas. I think I had to do it twice in the same month. And funny enough, one of them was actually pilot too. I onboarded my second time coming back to Texas. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, super surreal when I go down there. So from there, I ended up leaving. I didn't get any jobs from anybody in particular, but once a hurricane hit back in 2016, I was able to hop onto an external claims task assistant role, or known as ECTA. And from there, that was with State Farm. And so I was able to handle content. It was just very small time stuff, but it was big to me coming from, a kid making $15 an hour to making 25, 26 at the time.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not even sure that position exists anymore with the, development of artificial intelligence. So anyway, from there, I ended up I did a good job with that firm. I ended up being brought back, and we did like a couple months later, but I came back. I ended up dropping out of college completely, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to devote my time to this. And that's what I did. I ended up getting another job after that, after another external claims task assistant role, or EXTA, to an external claim representative for State Farm, for the firm for State Farm. And so from there, Hurricane Harvey, Maria, and Irma all hit.
Yeah. Bang, bang.
Yeah, like within a month or two. So it was just crazy. It was all hands on deck. I was fully ingrained in what I was doing. And I eventually ended up leaving that assignment too. And then just kind of transitioning to another desk role, and then finally to the field. So, and that's where I found my love for everything.
Yeah, I know, and I've spent a little bit of time with you in the field, and I know you. Not only do you do really well in the field, but it shows how much you love it. When was it that you transitioned to the field? How did that come about? It was just kind of like, hey, you've been doing it for a while. Do you want to go out in the field? How did you end up, literally going out there?
Yeah, so when it was about 2020 when I had gotten a phone call from somebody that I'd met at the time, that I'd met at an orientation, and I remember, and I've told the story before, they had called me like, hey man, do you want to come out into Chicago and field adjust with me? And I just thought to myself, I'm like, it's 2020. I'm going to give you an idea as to what was going on. So everyone was on lockdown. I was sitting on a beach in California, and I'd gotten that phone call working on the beach too. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, nah, not really. I don't think that's for me. I was like, you know what? Comfort's the enemy of success. I think it would do me some good to just get my feet wet, get an idea. So I shadowed him for a little bit. Yeah. And then that firm actually ended up needing people out in the field for Chicago. And I just kind of went all in. I said, hey, you know what? I ended up, my position was perfect timing. While I was out there, it was ending. So I went ahead, I put the laptop away only to pick it back up and download Xactimate and start to really get ingrained into the field. And that's when I found that it was an interesting opportunity that provided me the opportunity to meet with locals, to understand, what goes on in that area, and then to obviously get better at my job, because while you may know one section of it, if it's two or three, maybe you should start learning what those other components are. You can help improve it for not just the 1/3. So yeah.
Nice. So a beach in California to Chicago.
Yep. I was in,
a little
some people
different.
know. I was I would remember telling insureds where we were staying, and they would go, ooh, why are you staying out there? I was like, well, this is the area we work, so yeah.
Is there something I should know? That's right. Well, that's good. So that is what, 2018, 20? Oh, no,
that was 2020. Yeah.
Okay.
So 2020 is when I got my feet wet with the field.
Yeah. And so how has that gone now in the last 5 years? Or I guess 4 years. The last time you were out in the field was Helene and Milton, or have
correct.
You been? Okay.
I did some dailies this year, but yeah, I mean, I really count the last year. Well, what? So, I should look forward to that. I should look forward to the things that I do now to define who I am. Right.
That's right. So you were out in the field about 4 or 5 years, and tell me how those experiences were for you. What did you like the best? What were some things that you had to overcome? Tell me. Give me a little overview of that. Those 4 years.
Yeah, so I mean, the 4 years were definitely interesting, coming into catastrophes, coming into the real world of hurricanes. Because while I was situated in Irving, Texas, I know that Houston was devastated, and we've still got a lot of the people who evacuated into Irving. So when I had gone ahead, and I think Ida was my first real hurricane being out in the field, it was surreal. I mean, there's a lot of damage, there's a lot of obstacles, quite literally, that you need to avoid out in the field, and so. I was learning a lot at that time. I was getting a better understanding as to roofing components, or components really of residential structures as well as commercial. And so from there, I mean, I did Ian as well. I was on another beach, but this time I was working my butt off, sweating, climbing stairs. I remember, I think they told me, our building, we're on the 7th floor and the power's out, so get ready to walk. And I'm just lugging up all my gear. But it was definitely interesting because I started to see a lot more of the technological aspects of what we were doing. I was using Xactimate Mobile at the time. And I've only gotten better with it, especially with great instructors out there, great mentors that help me understand more. So I started, I think, really only using my phone out in the field for Xactimate Mobile when I think it was 2023. I started to do pretty much everything I could except for the general loss report or the GLR because it wasn't available. So I definitely got more hands-on experience being out in the field, meeting people, understanding them. I think another thing to overcome was some of the different personalities that you'll meet. Some people are very like, I need you to hold my hand. And some people have their roof completely ripped off, like, oh, we're okay. We've got somewhere to sleep tonight. So it's a stark contrast to what you're seeing and what you're experiencing with people. But I think at the end of the day, it's a beautiful learning experience. It makes you more thankful to go home to when you have something, even if it's not much, man. Some of these people have nothing, and you start to also validate their emotions. My girlfriend's in medical school. She'll still talk a lot about validating people's feelings. And so I did a lot of that when I was out in the field. I'd say, you know what? Well, you may not think it's as bad as everyone else, and I won't say whether or not that's true, but it's still a loss is a loss at the end of the day, and we're here to put you back to pre-loss condition. So
yeah, and that's what people don't realize sometimes is that you have one house, you have one claim, and you have a claim you go to, and they lost a little bit of siding and some fencing and some landscaping and maybe a few shingles. And it's very stressful for them. And then you go somewhere else and they have no roof. The house is unlivable. And that's obviously very stressful. And it's typically human nature to be like, well, you only lost your fence and a few shingles or whatever. But for that homeowner, I mean, it could be the world to them, because now they're stressed out. They might have a leak. They have to stop what they're doing. They probably can't go to work. No doubt. Completely having a destroyed home is a big deal, but I think people tend to think. I mean, until you're an adjuster, you'd realize that it's stressful for both parties. Both of those situations, it's their house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't know the sentimental value that is also impacting it too. Maybe they installed that fence with their father that's no longer here. You got to take into account that, hey, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. When I was out with you and Helene for those couple of weeks, man, I saw you do this really well where you engage people and we're very clear with your communication, but you also were, you were very kind. You have excellent customer service skills. You always petted the dogs.
when they let me, right? I watch the body language, but it's a great way.
Yeah. So, kudos to you, man. You have that down packed. So let's talk a little bit about the, technology. So obviously Xactimate is the big software that the industry uses for estimating residential commercial property buildings. But you've been working with Xactimate Mobile for a long time. And it's okay for me to say this now because of how far Xactimate Mobile has come. But it used to, for lack of a better word, suck really bad, But it's changed. It's come a long way. And I don't even know how to describe how impressed I was with what Xactimate Mobile did for you when we were doing those claims with Helene. The amount of time that you saved, it was incredible. So, and I know that Verisk, has meetings with you and you've given them feedback that they've applied to that. So you're, I know, I don't like to use the word guru, but to me, you're an Xactimate Mobile guru. So tell me how that technology has developed, even just in the last few years.
Yeah. So 2018 was the first time I'd really cut my teeth on Xactimate Mobile. I remember I was helping my stepfather out in the field, getting to shadow him. And I just remember how much it was really interesting because you'd be able to do this on a tablet device as opposed to drawing it. And let me tell you right now, I am not an artist. I can play the guitar, I can sing, but I can't draw for anything. So my father forgive me because he's an amazing artist. But so realistically, it was a decent piece of technology at the time in 2018. But I had it crash when I did a whole house. Photos and everything were all gone, sketch. So I had to go back out and do it all over again.
Oh, boy.
And it almost displays like, is this guy not know what he's doing?
Yep.
But that was 2018. Thankfully, I hadn't experienced that all too much in 2020 and beyond. There were times where it's crashed and whatnot, but it really has come a long way. And another thing to consider, too, is the technology. I have my iPhone sitting right next to me.
Sure.
It's gone from, whatever chip it was to the A16 or to the M1s, M2s, M3s, and 4s.
Yeah.
We're just going through the alphabet at this point. But the technology, not only does it improve, but so does Xactimate Mobile. So when they work hand in hand, I mean, things like LiDAR technology or I can't remember the exact acronym. I had to look it up the other day, but the fact that your phone can shoot a laser from the device over to an object and then replicate it within the sketch is just amazing. Nothing short.
That's amazing.
So
That's amazing.
It's truly incredible the advancement that we're seeing. There are other apps that are coming into play, but Xactimate Mobile, I mean, the fact that it can do that, it can work out in sunlight. I can go ahead and get the exterior of an image, I can sketch the exterior and not have to worry about, oh, did I get this right? Did I forget to include this or that? It's all built in. I don't have to pay an additional subscription, unless you count the professional version of it. But
sure.
I'm a professional, right? We're professional adjusters.
So, again, thinking of the last 4 years, you being exclusively out in the field, has it always been Xactimate Mobile, or have you used the desktop Xactimate Mobile combination type thing? What have you been doing?
So when I originally started, I remember in 2020, I grabbed a notebook from the car, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try it out and see how it works out for me. And it was not good. I just don't have that artist gene in me, and I'm drawing this house, and I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead. I'm gonna put this back, and I grabbed my iPad, and I was like, this is so much quicker. Like, wow. I don't have to go home and try to, there's a cloud system.
Yeah.
I can go ahead and take advantage of that, where I can upload it, download it to my desktop. But it was just crazy, just seeing the advancements of like it going from there to where it is now. I do still end up using a kind of like a blend of the two.
Hey everyone. So as you know, I just started this podcast and I'm really excited about the conversation we're having here. The industry is actively looking for quality, not quantity. And so I just want to let you know that I work with adjusters one-on-one, coaching them through my site, theadjustercoach.co. I've been in some aspect of the insurance industry over 25 years, and in that time, I've helped license over 12,000 individuals. But here's what I've learned. Just getting a license is only the first step. I help folks look after that to building a resume, getting connected with the right IA firms, and figuring out the best training for where you want to go. My goal is to help you to get working faster with more confidence and to be there to keep you on track. If that sounds like something you need, check out theadjustercoach.co. You'll find all the information there on coaching calls, resume help, and more. Again, that's theadjustercoach.co. All right, let's take care of our sponsors. So we of course, I really appreciate those people that support this podcast, and IA Path is a great sponsor. If you've already gotten your adjuster's license, but you're stuck wondering how to actually get work, check out IA Path. They created the experience-free career path for independent adjusters so you can get trained, certified, and actually land work, even without experience or having to wait for the next hurricane. Over 50 IA firms waive the experience requirement for IA Path grads. It's not just a course, it's a career launching system. Start your journey at iapath.com and use the word Pablo for a discount. So tell me, out in thinking about the last 4 years that you've been exclusively out in the field. So combination of desktop Xactimate Mobile, what have you been using? Tell me a little bit about the technology that you've been using.
Sure. So originally in 2020, I had a notebook in my car because I was doing all my notes in there, trying to go ahead and set up my first contact. And I remember going into a house trying to sketch it. And again, I just don't have that artist gene in me. My father, forgive me. So I was trying to draw, and I was smudging. I was nervous. I was, this small room. I was like, oh crap, I forgot the size of it. And so I was thinking, you know what? Let me put the notebook away. Let me go grab my iPad. Let me do what I know how to do. So I ended up grabbing it, going back into the house. And while it wasn't a perfect sketch, it was leagues better. And then not to mention, I didn't have to go home and sketch it again. It just didn't make sense.
Nice.
And that just might be the lazy adjuster in me, the lazy person that I am, where I saw a problem of why would I work harder for the same result when I could work less hard but get an even better, end result. So I ended up doing that. I went ahead and sketched, and I sketched until I left that assignment exclusively in Xactimate Mobile. Now, don't get me wrong. While Xactimate Mobile has advanced leagues beyond what it was before, there still isn't a general loss report yet that they're working on. So I had to go. I still do go ahead in the field if I finish everything up and I write my estimate there, which you should, and absolutely, I'm an advocate for. Label all my photos in the phone or tablet device, whatever. I'll bring it home and then I'll go ahead and upload it to the cloud, bring it back down to my desktop, and then I'll just be writing my general loss report. So it's still a combination for now, but until then, I've got to do what I've got to do, right?
Yeah, that's great. And so, but that's basically the way you've been doing it as a field adjuster. And I know that Xactimate Mobile, at least in my experience, 2018, 2019, people were just complaining about it all the time.
I bet.
And then it seems like in the last 2 years, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like they've done exponential improvements to the app. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just with LiDAR alone, it used to be a point-to-point system that, to me, it didn't make sense. I could just shoot a laser and it'd be faster. But now I'm its biggest advocate because you can just go ahead and point your tablet or device at a wall and it images it back to your phone. It can pick up cabinets, content. It's quite amazing. It's nothing short of it. So it's definitely come a long way, and the technology also has improved, which makes it a little bit better too.
Yeah. And I loved when we were out in North Carolina, how you had set up like shortcuts, by putting in text and things like that. I mean, the process, it just seemed to me, way faster than what I had seen before. And again, maybe it's because you're the Xactimate Mobile guru, but I was just fascinated about how much time you saved with the app. That's incredible.
Yeah, I think we wrote like a $50,000 estimate within 20 minutes of being there.
Yeah. That was great. And there was still a lot to be done in the sense of I remember one claimed there was a house and then there were a couple of additional structures and there was a lot of trees that were down and, we had to navigate all that and get on the roof. There's still a lot to do. I don't want to give the impression that you just show up with your phone, take a few pictures and you're done. If only, right? There was still a lot of work on your part to be done, but I, once you got the measurements and the pictures and all that, I was just so impressed at how much time it saved you. That's wonderful. All right, man. So let's talk a little bit about a day in the life of an adjuster. You get that call, Hurricane Helene hits and they're like, hey, we need you in Asheville, Swannanoa. I mean, that's some of the areas that I live around that were just, the damage was brutal. I still remember some of the videos we took and things like that. But you get the call, you got to go. Let's talk about travel. How do you travel?
Yeah, so I hope you're putting those videos up there too of all the things that we ended up doing. That bridge, oh my goodness!
Oh, that bridge, that was crazy. Crazy.
So the travel, it's definitely interesting. Obviously, you need to have a capable and reliable vehicle, not a Jeep Wrangler like some of us used to have. But realistically, yeah, you're packing up a car, you're heading out there. Some people have a camper. I am less fortunate than most, so I don't have a camper and I just pack my car. We do try to go ahead and reach out to Airbnbs prior to getting there. Airbnb is out sometimes hit or miss. You will notice that there's an issue with, just people not having basic necessities. So when I went to my Airbnb for Asheville, they didn't have water in the city of Asheville. So showering at, wherever you really could get it. Sometimes it'd be the water.
Did you go to those little like shower pods they had set up in? No.
Yes, I did take advantage of that. It was, it was like day 2 or 3 of, washing ourselves a water bottle of water. And we need to drink this. We should probably go somewhere. So we went to a church nearby where the National Guard had some other people there. Stationed, and so we were able to use the pods there to shower and whatnot. Of course,
I remember those.
15 minutes, but they were quite amazing, and it was our first warm water. And I could be taking a bath for the first time all over again. It was beautiful.
So tell me a little bit because it's interesting that you say that about Airbnbs because I've heard other adjusters they don't like Airbnbs because they get XYZ amount of claims. And then they got to go, from Asheville, let's say you got to move to Saluda, which is 40 minutes away. And so if you want to leave, I know that Airbnb sometimes typically like with the deposit or if you already paid for it. But and from my experience, you like Airbnbs.
Yeah. So, it depends. So what I typically do, and I hope Airbnb is not watching, I will typically go ahead and I'll message people online. I'll tell them exactly who I am, what I'm trying to achieve. I'll make sure to look at their refund policy and whatnot. But typically, I mean, I'll meet with the homeowner. We'll stay a couple of days, and once they see that we're actually working, we're not just taking advantage of the situation. I'll typically just try to meet with them privately and say, hey, you know what, I can pay you cash. Like I trust you, you trust me. We got to develop some type of trust here, and we just try to make it work, either outside the platform, which is a risk at the end of the day.
No doubt for both, yeah.
But sometimes the risk is worth taking, and that's typically the situation I find myself in, where I'll just try to make a deal separately. So Airbnbs can sometimes be decent, sometimes not be, and that's when you got to kind of gauge, well, are there any hotels open? Is there anywhere else I could stay in the area? And sometimes, again, after a hurricane, it's different, where everyone's flogging to these places because they sometimes are evacuated. So, you don't want to take that away from somebody, but at the same time, you also need to secure housing for yourself.
Yeah. And I've had people tell me, like, I don't necessarily like Airbnbs, but, that extended stay, that hotel that is available might be 90 minutes from where I got to be every day. You know, so you're talking about 3 hours, driving because you wanted to stay, because you wanted the flexibility of checking out the next morning. Whereas an Airbnb, there's a little bit more of a commitment, but you're going to find yourself closer, to ground zero when it comes to that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about something I don't hear a lot of people talking about. And I don't, don't get offended. I don't think you're the most well-qualified individual to talk about food, because I know you do these 18-hour fasts, So, but I'm going to have a lot of people on here on this podcast. I'm going to ask everybody the same thing. I have a buddy of mine, Patrick Kimmel, believe it or not. He's like, I just take like 40 cans of Chef Boyardee. And I'm like gagging, So, and he's like, and if I can't heat it up, I just eat it out of the can. I'm like, oh my gosh. So tell me about, you're in, again, Asheville, Swannanoa, Hendersonville, whatever, obviously a lot of, even fast food restaurants are not open. What are you doing for food? Are you cooking your own stuff at the Airbnb? Tell me what it looks like for you.
So it's a mix, definitely. I'm making sure every time, though, at a minimum, to pack in my own food. So that means cans of chicken, it means ramen noodles, whatever I can really, because at the end of the day, I'm going to want 3 things in my meal. I mean, besides vegetables, of course, but
sure.
I want to get protein, I want to get carbs, and I want to get salt that comes with it. So because I'm constantly using one of those things. And so I'm making sure that I also have some type of electrolyte drink, which I believe LMNT sells these packets that are only 15 calories. Like we talked about, I do fast out into the field, which may be crazy for some, but it works for me because I developed my fasting routine before I went out. So I'll typically fast. I mean, I think 18 is kind of the minimum. I think I did a hailstorm recently where I fasted like 21 and a half hours.
Oh my goodness gracious.
But it works for me. I have my electrolyte drink with me. I'm doing intermittent fasting for those of you watching. So it's not necessarily nothing. And I'll cheat with the 15-calorie drink. So throughout the day, but it definitely helps. And again, just having these things that you can heat up. I packed in before freeze-dried meals because I remember telling an adjuster, hey, you want to make sure you bring something because you don't want to go hungry that first night after work. And sure enough, they got somewhere and like, you know what? I don't even think we brought water. And I'm just thinking, you're crazy.
My goodness. Oh my goodness.
Definitely packing in water, canned food, and of course something that's high in carbohydrates. But you do need protein, so I bring vitamins and stuff like that. I cannot get sick out there. You saw when I started to develop something in my throat, I went ahead. I had teas ready. Thank you, Jenny, to my girlfriend watching. Probiotics. I had vitamins. I had everything that I needed to go ahead and beat whatever it was because I'm working every day. If I'm taking a paper day, I'm still working. If I'm out in the field, I'm obviously working. So I'm a workhorse when I'm there because those people deserve nothing less. So.
Yeah, and when people that are green to the industry or are trying to get into this, they don't realize. I mean, they don't think about these things. They think, okay, it's going to be hard work, and I'm going to be working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, but they don't think about the housing. The housing maybe a little bit, but the food, they do not think about the food. And I've heard people say like, I had to go drive 2 hours, which was the only open supermarket, and I had to pack my car. And had I done all these things before I left, I would have saved myself. I mean, think about it. Driving 90 minutes one way, the time you spend there loading up on supplies, 90 minutes back, that's easily a 5-hour turnaround that you could have been closing claims. You know, and I think people don't realize that when it comes to food, it's also part of being prepared. I mean, I've seen, we were in your Bronco, and I know you had a lot of stuff on there that just in case. So I think that regardless of your fasting, I think that's that's great advice. Just kind of curious, were there places opening up, like restaurants, even fast food and things like that? Did they open up rather quickly up there, or?
I wouldn't say rather quickly. I mean, I think I'd gotten there 2 weeks late and things were just starting to open. But then again, you have to consider too that they may not have the ability to wash foods and stuff like that. So I couldn't even get any lettuce or vegetables. I know some of you are probably like, that's not an issue, but trust me, when you're having issues, doing your daily bodily functions, it becomes a problem very quickly, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's good to imagine yourself.
Fiber.
Yes, exactly. And so it's good to bring supplements, things that you need, medication.
Yeah.
But remember, you're basically, imagine yourself going to an extent primitive camping. You're going to need things to start a fire, to sustain that fire, things to cook your food in. And so I have all those things just sitting in the Bronco just in case. So it's always
good. And not I love telling the people the truth. So, and not to put you in a spot here, but how many days was it before you went to the bathroom?
Oh man, it was close to 3 to 4 days, honestly.
Wow.
And it was difficult. Wow. I mean, and some people are trying to hold it because they don't feel comfortable going to these places. I will give some of you a pro tip now. If you are out in the field and you find yourself having to use a restroom and you don't feel comfortable stopping at these gas stations, sometimes places that sell food, like grocery stores, have decent places because nobody goes there. But the real tip, and I feel bad letting this secret be known because it's my secret. You can stop at hotels. Nobody looks you in the eye. I mean, people just say hello, and then you go through the lobby.
That's pretty good.
Find a restroom because I guarantee you, people will hold it to get to their rooms. So nobody's using that lobby downstairs.
And wow, that's a great tip. And it's funny that you say that because I usually use IHG Holiday Inns. I got a gazillion points from travel. But then I'll stop at one. I'm driving. I'm like, if they tell me anything, I'll give them my number or whatever. But they don't even ask. They're like, "Good afternoon," and you just walk right by. You know what I mean? And their bathrooms are super clean.
Because nobody's using them.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that's great. So let's talk a little bit about hazards out there. Driving through damage, even like getting gas, climbing on ladders, those type of things. What are some of the, maybe even some of the lessons you've learned, but what are some of the things that now you're like, okay, I got to be ready just in case this may happen?
So definitely having a patch repair kit. I think even recently I'd come off of an airplane and I was like, okay, it's 2 p.m. I'm here in Dallas. I got to get back to my house before the traffic picks up like crazy. Sure enough, I got a nail in my tire. I'm driving, so I have a patch kit in the back with a bottle opener. Fun fact, this is not so fun for me at the time, but you can go ahead. If you have your shingle gauge tool, you can kind of use that as long as the fastener's not too big to rip it up out the tire. So the real pro tip is get some pliers. So
cool.
But besides that, I mean, you got to worry about that. And something I really want to bring up because I feel like it's not talked enough about are widowmakers in trees. And if you don't know what a widowmaker is, it's basically a tree limb that has become broken and is still lodged in the tree. So any type of wind or, earth movement could cause that to come down. And if it doesn't pierce through, a house or a car, it could be you. So I would advise you to not only look up, but to look around as well. And so that means looking and making sure there's no pieces of land, because sometimes you're out in the boonies and tripping in a place where maybe the insured isn't even there. Could be, maybe not necessarily a death sentence, but it could take you out for the season. So look around, make sure you don't step in any potholes or any low pieces of ground. Look out for fire ants, things of that nature. Look out for animals. I had been out in some strange places in North Carolina, and I can't tell you how many times I heard just a little thing break, and I felt like a deer looking over my shoulder. So I would encourage you to look around when you're out there.
Yeah. I live in this area, and I can't tell you how many of our friends have like cows and pigs and things like that. And when the hurricane hit, I mean, these animals were everywhere. Yep. And you don't want to come across a scared cow. They're heavy.
Now,
Tell me a little bit. Did you get rope and harness certified, or did you just do shadowing, mentoring, and learned how to do it, or did you actually
Oh
go through a
yeah.
class?
So I wish I really took advantage, and this is going to be my pilot pitch of the day. Pilot does have a 5 to 10 day course that is actually really good. I would encourage a lot of people because I was always told how to do things, but I was never shown. And so for
Mm,
people out there to develop a good base would definitely be
hmm.
to run through these courses because they show you how to set up a ladder, they show you how to
Yeah,
tie off, things of that nature. So it's really good to learn how to do that before you need to because I just had a buddy say, hey, go ahead and pick the ladder up, but he didn't talk about how far away I needed to stand, where my feet need to be placed, things of that nature. So
hmm.
I ended up, I've never been rope and harness certified. I would encourage those out there to not let heights and steep roofs stop you.
Yeah,
But I had gone ahead, I went out and bought a goat, which a goat is a chicken hook
yeah,
that basically goes on the roof. And I don't know if you saw me use that, but it's
yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. No, I saw you, but explain a little bit more about a goat. That's a good point. Tell me what a goat is.
So a goat is basically back in those old cartoons, you'd see somebody kind of get pulled off stage by somebody with a hook. It's kind of the
Yeah,
same idea, except it's blue and yellow. So you're basically you have this pole that you kind of snap together with pieces, and you have a hook at the end of it that you kind of hook onto the roof. So I use that not necessarily as climbing, but more of as an assist. So it has
hmm.
hand slots where you go ahead and you place up on the roof, and you can climb it a lot more easily and a lot more securely than most. So that I mix in a pitch hopper as well, which a pitch hoppers, I mean, I've used it on a 1212. I would
Hmm.
not suggest risking your life testing it out, but I had a nice little flat roof in the back. So I just threw it up on the roof. I'm able to hop around a little bit more and it grips the roof fairly well. So
Hmm.
I would advise maybe a couple of those. Who knows how many you need?
And so the pitch hopper is so that you kind of can put your weight on it and move around. Yeah,
Exactly. Step on and
and
off.
tell me about. I take it you have cougar paws. What are
And
cougar
cougar
paws?
paws. Oh yeah, cougar paws are essential. I mean, a lot of people go with flat top shoes like Hey
Hmm.
Dudes or Vans or Converse,
Hmm.
but those aren't as good as cougar paws in my opinion. They have a little pad that you slip on and off. That is if you need to replace them because they are very good at gripping. I
Hmm.
wouldn't risk my life on it all the time, but I have gone ahead and relied on them heavily on some of these steep roofs. Anything over a 612, as long as my girlfriend's listening, anything over a 612, you should bring the cougar paws on. And then besides that, Steep Gear as well. I believe they have a website, might be
Yep.
steepgear.com. They do make gloves as well, where they'll take out two of the finger parts, so I can still use Xactimate Mobile, and I can also still climb the roof. So that was super helpful as well. I always make sure to get some new gloves every once in a while that fit. So
That's great. And as you know, we recorded a little video, you and I, about the tools of the trade, and I'll be putting that up on my YouTube channel soon.
good.
But I love the way that you're so super organized and you think ahead. And I'm sure this wasn't your the way you were doing things on day one.
No, definitely not. I wasn't even
Yeah.
wearing sunscreen. And now, again, my girlfriend being in medical school, hey, you want to make sure you're doing everything you can to not only stay safe physically, but to also stay safe from the outside environments. And that means,
Nice.
putting on sunscreen and whatnot. So want to
That's
avoid,
wonderful.
we may feel old. I'm 30, so I'm starting to feel old, but I don't want to look old. And that means I don't want my
Yeah.
resting lines to
Yeah, no,
become,
and I loved how you
become
had your hat that cover your neck and your ears.
yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm here turning red like a tomato,
Yeah.
sweating like, I was sick or something. Yeah. You have you pay a lot of attention to detail to the little things. I imagine is because you've paid the price.
Yes, I had paid the price or somebody I knew.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All righty, guys. We're going to get back to talking with Julian in a second, but, let's take care of our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Open Road Coffee. Talk about an important tool, coffee. Proudly based in the mountains of Columbus, North Carolina, built on a foundation of premium, organically grown farmer direct beans and a commitment to extraordinary customer service. Open Road Coffee backs their products with 100% satisfaction guarantee. My good friend Stan Yoder is the founder. He's meticulous, which means obsessed with his approach to coffee. We joke around that he actually talks to the beans, but seriously, the coffee is fantastic. During Hurricane Helene, even though he had damage to his property, and at the coffee shop itself, there was a sinkhole. He was open within just 4 to 5 days, handing out coffee to people. I mean, he really took it up to take care of the community, especially the adjusting community. And so I love, pointing out that it's a great that's not only great coffee, but they got a great culture over there. Go to openroadcoffeeroastery.com and use the code CAFE, CAFE, for a 10% discount on any of your next orders. You get to, grab a cup, support a great business, and enjoy the journey. Fuel it with Open Road Coffee. All right, Julian. So, we were talking about getting up on a ladder, making sure a tree limb doesn't fall on you. Those are all kind of like occupational hazards. Did you come across any issues trying to get gas, for example?
Oh, you know what? I was very fortunate. I have been, but not always. So most of the time, I come into an area maybe a week or two after the devastation hits. I had some prior engagements that I needed to take care of. So I didn't have any issues, but I have had friends who go, and especially being, I'm not a native Floridian, but I lived in Florida for decades. And so you'll find at gas stations, can also become hazards too. I think you were talking recently in your podcast about how somebody pulled out a gun one time, at
so actually during Hurricane Helene, and in fact, I think I wanted to fill up to go see you, and they finally opened some gas stations around our neighborhood. And so I went with my 18 and 17-year-old to fill up all 3 cars, and the line was long and whatever, but some guy cut in line, and then another guy showed him a gun. And so I told my kids, you know what? We don't need gas that bad. We'll come back. And we started showing up at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. There were no lines. We pump out. But it's so interesting how I tell people about this all the time as an adjuster. You want to provide good customer service, be well trained and knowing how to estimate damage and know the policy and all that. But there's going to be so many more collateral damage things that you have to be aware of. Like, when somebody comes to my house and, we had mild to moderate damage, the fencing, some siding, some shingles and things like that. But then they're, like, oh, you have 9 kids, and, is everything okay? Can we help you? And one of the adjusters that I dealt with, of course, I didn't tell him that I was in the industry, but he was asking, do you know that you can get $750 from FEMA? And do you know that the Red Cross is at this Baptist church by our corner and those type of things? I think that's what makes the difference between good and great adjusters. Good adjuster, again, they're going to replace your property. They're going to put your things back together. But a great adjuster is going to be someone that truly going to go the extra mile. And you're my friend, but, I saw you do that many a times with your claimants where you were just constantly asking, is everything okay? Are you guys all right? Are you safe? Is there anything else that you need to tell me about? And I saw you do this, which is a great thing. Hey, you know what? I also found this additional damage over here that you hadn't seen.
Yeah, the thoroughness that comes with it. They really appreciate that when they notice something, you tell them.
Yeah, they really do appreciate that. But so, in regards to putting gas and then kind of tensions being high, anything that you do for personal safety. So now we're not talking about climbing a roof. I'm just talking about personal safety. You did go from California to Chicago at one point. Yeah. I love my, I got my sister-in-law in Chicago. I love Chicago, not trying to make him look bad. I'm from Miami. Trust me.
Right.
So, I know about personal safety when you're out there, but anything kind of like that in an area that you're not familiar with,
Yeah, I've had the liberty of going back to Illinois as well before, more experienced. And honestly, I just keep my wits about me. I'm from New York originally, so a lot of us keep a stern face and we keep it pushing. We know where we're going at all times, even if we've got to fake it. And so, that's kind of what I do. I try to keep a stern face. It's not COVID, so I don't have to wear a mask when I'm out in the field. And it doesn't look like I'm trying to rob the house. So right. The first thing really is knocking on the door, getting familiar with the insured, and just kind of walking the house with them. That way people can see that, you're with a local. And then, of course, again, if I don't feel safe in an area, I can leave my back against the wall. But if I absolutely do not feel safe in that area, there's just something. It's either a dog or it's a person. I let my insured know that I can't continue the inspection. I'll call my once I get out of there, because I don't want to sit on the phone and be a potential victim. But I'll let my firm know that, hey, you know what? There was an issue. There was something here that could have been potentially a liability, and so I had to excuse myself from the inspection. And I've never had an issue with the firm that said anything about, like, oh,
go back. You got to go back.
Yeah, you need to do it. They just say, okay, no, that's fine. Just thank you for letting us know. because they don't want to find out 3 days later thinking the inspection's done and you didn't say anything. It's better to say something. But
because you got bit by a pit bull or whatever,
you know what's funny is that it's not the big dogs you got to look out for. They let themselves be known that they're big. It's the small ones. They love nobody corrects that behavior.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just keeping your wits about you and just trying to be as safe as you can while also maintaining a professional demeanor. So if you can't maintain one or the other, get out of there.
That's great. And before I ask what I want to ask to end with, I do want to ask you this one question, because I know that you're so steeped into the technology side of this, but what is your personal opinion of how AI is playing a role in this industry?
Yeah, great question. I think a lot of people are curious about everyone's thoughts about it. So I do agree, and I see the benefits of how useful artificial intelligence is. I mean, I'm a huge fan of ChatGPT and the other programs out there, the large language models. They're here to stay. I mean, my future fiance over here is actually taking a course in medical school about artificial intelligence and how it can benefit even doctors. While they may not be using the same large language model, they're still using one that's more secure. So it's not going away. It is here to stay, but there will be safeguards, hopefully, and we should be the protectors in a sense of humans, because while artificial intelligence is a great tool, it's not always reliable. It hallucinates. It makes things up confidently all the time. So you do have to be aware. And so I think while it may be here to stay, I think we have a duty to not only inform ourselves of it, but become experts in a sense, and maybe even step up our own skills. I mean, taking that time to really develop those personal human skills, like meeting people, shaking hands, looking people in the eye, and telling them that things are going to be all right. Because I can't tell you how many times ChatGPT, while it may inflate my ego, it doesn't really do a good job of checking in on me or giving me a phone call. It's human components, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what people don't understand. That old lady that's standing there, and I don't remember who it was, but she was like, "Yeah, thank you for taking care of my roof. Can you help me find my cat? Can you please help me find my cat?"
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for taking. She wasn't even focused on the house. She was, and she's a 75-year-old widow that. I mean, the cat's the world to her, and we can put her roof back together, but she really wants to know where the cat is at. And it's like, all right, let's put all this stuff down and let's go look for the cat. ChatGPT is never going to do that. And then the other flip side to that is that, and I saw Matt from Adjuster TV put this on LinkedIn. I don't know if you saw this, where a claimant, submitted pictures of a kitchen fire, and then somebody was looking at it and they're like, wait. This is done with ChatGPT. It was, the F word in our industry, fraud, So that's something else that the ChatGPT is not going to be able to do. Knock on the door and kind of like, move the stove around and see all the black suit and all that stuff, So it has its place. I know, for example, I think Xactimate Mobile has improved the AI for the pictures, right?
Photo labeling has become a thing now. So
photo labeling. So I like that, but like you say, ChatGPT is never going to ask you how you doing. Is there anything else we can help you with? They have shower pods 5 blocks away from here, those type of things. And in fact, I saw an article where this gentleman was saying that he asked it's 4.0 ChatGPT a question, and the question was, who's the president of the United States? And he answered Biden, and it's August 2025. It's okay, maybe there's something going on there that
it's not always updated. And I've seen things where it's like, oh, how does this do you agree with this type of fallacy or whatever it was? It's like, oh, absolutely, I agree with it, and it was giving all the reasons why, and it's just like, oh my god, it's been debunked, it's been disproved, and you're still so. But right. Even with the AI photo labeling with the Xactimate Mobile, it still asks the adjuster, hey, did you go ahead and approve these things? And it'll pitch your name that it was approved by it.
Oh, wow.
But again, at the end of the day, there's hopefully going to be safeguards. And if not, we have to be the custodians of that.
Wow. All right. So Let's do this. Tell me a crazy or funny example. I know that when I was with you those couple of weeks, man, we saw a lot of crazy
Yeah.
stuff. Tell me something that you were just like, wow, I can't believe I just went through this with this insured.
Oh man, I mean, besides the one where I won't say one of the insured names, it was surreal to cross through a river with my
Oh,
car. I
that was
loved it.
awesome.
You have to put the video up wherever you can.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
The other one where we went ahead and we physically had to walk across a made bridge with ladders and pieces.
Yeah. So it was an extension ladder. Remember, he just put it flat down because the bridge to his house had fallen, and we were like stepping on the ladder, like, I hope I don't fall. Hope I don't fall.
Yeah. And I remember going past this one bridge every day, and I was like, oh man, it's so crazy. I feel bad for any poor schmuck that has to go in there. And then sure enough, we're the guys, so we have to go find the route, off-roading.
That's
I will tell people too, get a vehicle that is capable of off-roading and that you have the equipment to get yourself out of potholes, because I carry a shovel in case I need to get out.
Yeah.
But besides that, yeah, the one house that we went to where the insured's daughter was there, and she was just a riot. She was super funny, very personable, wanted to show us what was really going on, and that's kind of the job. You have people, while you may think one thing, they still need to show you sometimes, and they feel compelled to do it. So I heard her out. She showed me everything that she could, including the entire neighborhood. Her father, who was, I don't know. If
So her father was the actual claimant, and he must have been early 80s, and she was probably in her 50s, but she was a firecracker. And then she put us in that golf cart, 4-wheeler golf cart, and I thought, I mean, the video, because I was taking a video like that because I couldn't believe what she was doing. Yeah. She was actually chasing her father down, who had an oxygen tank. I mean, that lady was crazy.
Yeah, she was fun though.
But they were so, I mean, they offered us cookies, they offered us bourbon, which we didn't take, I mean, that was crazy, man. But
yeah, it was an experience. I mean, we got to, I hope you also show the video too, where the container is what brought out the bridge. It was huge, gushing, like these tiny little streams became these gushing oceans, and you're just seeing this huge container just knock this bridge out. And it was crazy. We actually got to drive through it because it had all dried up to what it was. So she was driving us through, and we saw the little kid shooting a gun too.
I know. Oh, that's right. Her neighbor was doing shooting practice. This is the South,
Yeah, he's a good shot too.
This is the South. She's like, oh, that's my neighbor. He's just shooting practice. Like, oh, okay. That's not.
He had the decency to stop once we pulled up. Too.
That's right. He had good gun safety training. Definitely, he was good at that. And it's interesting though. How people. I mean. I know that you lived, I think, in Fort Lauderdale for a while. I was born in Miami. And then as adjusters, we've done all this. And I still come across people that don't realize that it's the water that does the majority of the damage,
Yeah.
I mean, because you get the wind and, sure, your roof is going to blow away. But what I've seen water do to communities is crazy. As we sadly enough recently saw in Texas with those girls' camps and all that, water, it can be dangerous during weather events. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. All right, bro. So let me ask you this. What would you advise someone who's thinking about becoming an adjuster today? We'll end on this,
Yeah.
And like I said, let's tell them the truth,
Yeah.
What would you say? Hey, a friend of yours is like, hey, Julian, I've seen how successful you've been, and I'm thinking about getting into this. Should I?
So my answer is somewhat of a flip-flop of yes, you should, but you should absolutely do all the research that you can. That doesn't mean going on Facebook and asking a question because it's already been asked a million times. Maybe use that search bar like I'm always talking about, but don't be half in, half out. I think for me as a young kid joining this, I'm still a young kid, right?
Yeah.
I was half in and half out for 5, 6, 7 years, who knows? And it shows because I could have accelerated my career. I could have met more people, but I always was like, oh, I want to go back to school. I want to do this and that. But the world's kind of changed in a sense. We're not necessarily bound to go down these routes that have been set forth for us. We need to make them ourselves, and that means carving your own success. So I would advise anyone who's thinking about doing this, don't be half in and half out. This isn't a weekend job. A license, like you talk about all the time, is not going to get you to the front of the lines. It's about being one of the best adjusters out there, and if you can't be the best, you better try. You better try at least. And that means everything.
And I tell people every day, do something to become a better adjuster. And you've mentioned this a couple of times in this time that we've been talking, but having a good mentor, man, that is gold. Finding somebody. And what I love about this industry, that there's a lot of peer-to-peer mentoring and outreach and training. Adjusters are not like, oh, I'm gonna, hold you off. This is my little niche. No, people are always been, with me anyway, have been very generous in showing me, how do you do this? How do you do that? And yeah, of course, come with me for, a couple of days, hold my ladder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
all that stuff. But I find it interesting that people are not, they're kind of afraid to do that. And what you said also about, educating yourself. So going through Facebook posts where there's somebody who only got a license 5 years ago and never did anything with it and is bitter, that's not education,
Yeah.
Education is looking at influencers in this industry, independent adjusting firms, talking to actual adjusters.
Going to NACA, National Association of Catastrophe
Oh my
Adjusters.
gosh, the NACA convention is one of the best places to go to. So yeah, it requires education. Yeah. But man, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate you being here and sharing all these insights with us. Thank you so much. I look forward. I'm going to see if I can sneak into one of your Xactimate Mobile classes with Pilot. Pilot is a great company. I spent some time with them last week. They got a lot of good people over there, and they have another one with you. So I'm looking forward to what you're going to bring to the table with them, man. Thanks, brother.
Guys. Thank you.
All right, take care, man.
Likewise. Take care.
So many thanks to Julian for giving us a great, true behind-the-scenes look at the life of a field adjuster. I mean, travel smart, stay safe, stay fuel, bring some food, know where to find the bathrooms, all that good stuff. The best place to find Julian, honestly, is in LinkedIn. He's very active in LinkedIn. Julian Badillo, Badillo. He's got a ton of great stuff on there. That's where I would, reach out to them. And then, of course, if you're thinking about becoming an adjuster, signing up with Pilot Catastrophe, he's going to be a great Xactimate Mobile instructor over there. Please don't forget to subscribe, review, and share this podcast. I really appreciate that. And coming up on episode 3, Chris Stanley from IA Path. This guy is extremely well accomplished, best-selling books. IA Path has been around for 15 years, has literally put thousands of people into the industry. So I hope to see you on our next episode. As always, we are proudly supported by Adjuster Pro, your trusted resource for insurance adjuster licensing and training. Whether you're just starting out or you need continuing education, Adjuster Pro offers everything you need to meet your licensing requirements with confidence. And as a special thank you to our listeners, simply go to www.adjusterpro.com/Pablo. And you can use the discount code Pablo5. It'll knock off 5% and not charge you taxes on any other courses. Again, www.adjusterpro.com/Pablo is where you want to go. And of course, if you have any questions about this industry, you're trying to discern if it's a right fit for you, feel free to reach out to me directly. My details are below, but you can always email me to theadjustercoach@gmail.com. Thanks, guys.